Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today, we're diving headfirst into the world of AI and how it's reshaping America as we know it.
Yeah, shaping it in ways we can't even fully grasp yet, I'd say.
Absolutely. And to really get into it, we're going to be unpacking this really fascinating academic thesis called The Transformative Impact of Artificial Intelligence on American Jobs, Society, and Policies.
Catchy title.
Definitely rolls off the tongue. So by the end of this deep dive, my hope is that you'll walk away not just with the facts, but like a real solid understanding of the bigger picture. You know how all these pieces of the AI puzzle kind of fit together?
We're going beyond the headlines, trying to connect the dots a bit more deeply here.
Exactly. So let's start with, good old America. How does the U.S. fit into this whole global AI landscape? I mean, we all know the big names, right? Google, Microsoft, these giants who are pouring money into AI research and development.
Oh, yeah, those are the big players for sure. But there's this whole other level beyond that. Think startups, think universities, all these independent research labs that are constantly pushing the limits of what AI can actually do.
It's like this nonstop engine of innovation, huh?
Absolutely.
And it seems like the government is taking notice, right? Didn't they pass that National AI Initiative Act back in 2020?
Yeah, they did. And it's interesting because it wasn't just about funding research. It was also about, workforce development, ethical considerations,
Yeah.
Recognizing that AI is going to impact way more than just the tech world.
So it seems like they're trying to really plan for the future, not just react to it.
Exactly, trying to stay ahead of that curve.
But let's be real here. The U.S. is not alone in this, right? There's like intense competition from all over the globe, especially China. I mean, they're investing a ton and they're catching up fast.
Oh, yeah, the AI race is on globally, no doubt about it.
Okay, so let's get to the big question. I think the question that's probably on everyone's mind, jobs.
Yeah, the elephant in the room.
Exactly. I mean, what does all this AI stuff mean for everyday American jobs? Are we all about to be replaced by robots?
Well, it's a valid concern, right? I mean, look around. We're already seeing the impact of AI and automation on the job market.
And it's not always pretty.
Right. Like
Yeah.
think manufacturing, for example. The Bureau of Labor Statistics has shown a pretty steady decline in manufacturing jobs for years.
Mm-hmm.
And a big part of that is automation.
Yeah, you see those robots on the assembly line in car factories. Tesla's a good example.
Absolutely.
And this isn't limited to blue-collar jobs either, right? I mean, think about self-checkout kiosks popping up everywhere. Even fast food restaurants are using them more and more.
I think the National Restaurant Association actually predicts that automation could replace millions of restaurant jobs in the coming years, which is a scary thought for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a huge number. So is this the beginning of the end?
Well, hold on. It's not quite that doom and gloom. I mean, yes, AI is automating some jobs out of existence, but it's also creating new ones. And the demand for those new AI-related jobs is growing like crazy.
Okay, so give me some good news here. What kind of jobs are we talking about?
Well, you need people to build and manage these complex AI systems, right? So you've got AI trainers, people who curate the data. You need data scientists, machine learning engineers.
I've seen those job titles all over LinkedIn.
Exactly. And that demand is only going up. But here's the million-dollar question. Will these new jobs make up for the ones that are being lost to automation?
That is the question, isn't it? It's something that economists and policymakers are wrestling with right now. And it's a question we're going to keep digging into as we go deeper into this topic.
Yeah. We'll be getting into some of the complexities of this because who benefits from those new jobs and who gets left behind? That's a really important part of this conversation.
It's not just numbers, it's about how this impacts people's lives, real people.
Exactly. And it brings us to a crucial point. The impact of AI isn't equal everywhere you go. And for different demographics, too. There's a real risk of what some are calling an AI gap emerging.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's unpack that. What exactly do you mean by an AI gap?
Well, think of it this way. You've got Silicon Valley, right? It's like the heart of the tech world. All these companies, all this venture capital pouring into AI. It's booming. They're attracting top talent, tons of investment. Those high-paying AI jobs are exploding over there.
So Silicon Valley's kind of like the poster child for the AI revolution, huh?
You could say that, but then you look at other parts of the country, places that rely on more traditional industries like manufacturing or agriculture, and the story is completely different.
So where you live really matters when it comes to how this is all playing out.
Exactly. The Economic Policy Institute did some research on this, and what they found is kind of alarming. The areas that are benefiting most from AI are often the areas that were already doing pretty well economically, and the areas that are struggling, they're the ones that are most likely to see job losses from automation.
So it's like AI is making the rich richer and the poor poorer.
There's a real danger of that happening. Yeah. It goes beyond just location, too. Your age and your education level, those play a huge role in how you're likely to be impacted by AI.
Okay, so help me understand that. How does age and education fit into all of this?
Well, the research shows that younger workers, especially those with college degrees or specialized technical skills, they're in a much better position to thrive in this new AI-driven job market. They're more likely to be in those fields where AI is creating jobs, and they're more comfortable with learning new skills.
So if you're someone who's been in the workforce for a while, maybe in a field that's being disrupted by AI, it's a much tougher situation.
It can be for sure. And that's why there's such a big push right now for these retraining programs, these upskilling initiatives. The goal is to give those workers whose jobs are being automated the skills they need to move into these new AI-related fields.
Like those tech hire programs.
Yeah, exactly. Those are a good example. But we need way more of those programs, and they need to be accessible to everyone who needs them.
Otherwise, this AI gap we're talking about just keeps getting wider and wider.
Right, and that's bad news for everyone, not just the individuals who are left behind, but for the entire economy.
So the stakes are pretty high here, but let's zoom out a bit because AI's impact goes way beyond the job market, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is about how we live, how we experience the world. Think about healthcare. AI is already being used to diagnose diseases, develop treatments, personalize patient care. It's incredible.
Yeah, I was reading about these AI systems that can detect cancer cells better than human doctors can in some cases.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And that's just the beginning. AI is being used to analyze tons and tons of medical data, to identify patterns to make predictions that would be impossible for humans to do on their own. We're talking about revolutionizing healthcare.
It's almost like giving doctors a superpower.
Exactly. And it's not just healthcare education is being transformed too.
Oh, yeah. How is AI changing the classroom? I mean, are we talking robot teachers here?
Not quite robots, but pretty close. AI is being used to personalize learning in a way that was never possible before. There are these platforms that can adapt to each student's needs, their learning style, giving customized lessons, providing feedback in real time.
So it's like having a personal tutor for every kid.
Yeah, kind of. And there's research showing that these personalized learning programs are leading to much better outcomes for students.
That's impressive. But gotta ask, are there downsides to all this?
Of course there are. I mean, with any powerful new technology, there are always potential downsides. Take healthcare, for example. There are real concerns about data privacy and security. These AI systems, they need tons of data to function. And we need to make sure that data is being handled responsibly, ethically.
Right. And in education, what about the possibility of AI actually widening the gap between students who have access to these amazing tools and those who don't?
That's a valid concern for sure. If these personalized learning platforms are only available in certain schools, certain districts, it could make existing inequalities even worse. We have to make sure that all students have the chance to benefit from AI in education, no matter their background or socioeconomic status.
It's a good reminder that technology isn't inherently good or bad. It's all about how we use it.
Couldn't agree more. And that brings us to, I think, the most important part of this whole discussion, the ethical side of AI.
Okay, let's get into that. What are some of the biggest ethical dilemmas that AI brings up? We've talked about AI and jobs, healthcare, education. It really feels like it's touching every part of our lives. But when it comes down to it, I think the ethical questions, those are the ones that are going to make or break this whole AI revolution.
Yeah, those are the big ones. And there are so many different angles to think about. We've touched on data privacy a bit, but that's just one piece of the puzzle.
So where do we even begin with something this complex? What are some of the other ethical dilemmas that AI brings up?
Well, one of the biggest concerns that's getting a lot of attention is what's called algorithmic bias. It's the idea that AI systems, even though they seem objective, can actually make existing biases in society even worse.
Okay, so explain that to me. How can an algorithm be biased? I mean, it's just code, right?
True. But that code is usually trained on huge data sets that reflect the real world. And our world is full of biases. So let's say you're building an AI to help with loan applications. You feed it tons of data from past loans. But what if that data reflects past discrimination?
So if certain groups were denied loans more often in the past, the AI might learn to deny loans to those same groups in the future, even if those individuals are totally qualified.
Exactly. The AI isn't intentionally trying to be unfair, but it's just replicating the biases that were in the data it was trained on. And this isn't some theoretical problem. This has real consequences for people. It can affect their access to loans, healthcare, even the justice system.
It's kind of scary when you think about it. How
Yeah.
can we make sure that AI is being used fairly, especially when it's making such important decisions about people's lives?
That's the question everyone's asking, and there's no easy answer. But there are things we can do. We need to be a lot more careful about the data that's used to train these AI systems, make sure it's representative and doesn't have those built-in biases. And we need to constantly check these systems, look for any signs of bias, and make adjustments.
So it's not a one-time fix, it's an ongoing process.
Absolutely. You
Hmm.
can't just set it and forget it. And it's not just the responsibility of the people building these systems. We all have a role to play. Policymakers, regulators, consumers. We need to be aware of this potential for bias and demand that AI is used ethically and responsibly.
It seems like we're at this pivotal moment. We're still figuring out how to use AI for good without letting those risks get out of control.
We are. And it's not just about avoiding the bad stuff. It's about actively shaping the future of AI.
Hmm.
What values do we want reflected in these systems? How can we use AI to benefit everyone, not just a select few? Those are the questions we need to be asking right now.
So looking ahead, what are some of the big trends or developments you see coming down the pipeline in the world of AI?
Well, one thing that's really exciting and a little bit scary is how AI is merging with other technologies that are advancing super fast, especially quantum computing. Quantum computers are crazy powerful. They can process information way faster than regular computers, which means they could take AI to a whole new level.
So AI on steroids, basically, what would that even look like?
That's the thing. It's hard to even imagine, but we can see major breakthroughs in all kinds of areas. Drug discovery materials, science, personalized medicine, climate modeling. The possibilities are huge, but so are the risks.
Okay, like what kind of risks?
Imagine AI systems that are not just super smart, but can learn and adapt at speeds we can't even grasp. That raises some serious questions about control, accountability, even the very definition of intelligence.
It's kind of like we're on the verge of creating something that's beyond our understanding, something that could have consequences we haven't even thought of.
It's a bit humbling, isn't it? But it's a good reminder that we need to approach AI carefully with a healthy dose of caution and humility and a strong commitment to ethical development.
So, for our listeners who might be feeling a little overwhelmed by all of this, what's the one key takeaway you'd want them to remember from this deep dive?
I'd say stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged. The future of AI isn't set in stone. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make, the conversations we have, the actions we take.
That's a great point. This isn't about just watching AI happen. It's about being part of the conversation and helping to guide its development. And we can all do that in different ways, whether it's learning more about the technology, advocating for responsible AI, or just having conversations like this one.
Absolutely. The story of AI is still being written, and we all have a role to play in how it turns out.
That's a great place to wrap things up. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into AI. We hope you learned something new, and we encourage you to keep exploring this amazing and constantly evolving world. Until next time.